12 months ago, the Agentic AI landscape looked like a gold rush. Hundreds of frameworks, dozens of orchestration tools, a new memory solution every week. Founders raised millions on pitch decks featuring flowcharts no one had tested in production. The promise was autonomous AI agents, systems that could plan, reason, use tools, and execute multi-step tasks without human intervention. The reality, for most of 2024, was brittle demos that collapsed under real workloads. But something shifted. Quietly, without a single keynote announcing it, production builders converged on a short list of tools at every layer of the stack. This is what actually won, and what didn't. Rewind to early 2024. AutoGPT had mass attention, but almost zero production adoption. Baby AGI was a fascinating experiment. LangChain dominated mindshare as the default orchestration layer. Its GitHub stars climbed past 70,000. Vector databases like Pinecone and Weaviate were positioned as the critical memory infrastructure. The assumption was simple. Chain enough LLM calls together with retrieval-augmented generation, and you'd get agents. Investors poured capital into agent startups building on these foundations. But builders who actually shipped products started reporting the same problems: excessive latency, runaway token costs, fragile chains that failed silently, and retrieval that returned irrelevant context as often as useful context. At the orchestration layer, LangChain's original sequential chain paradigm largely lost. What replaced it, ironically from the same team, was LangGraph, a graph-based orchestration framework that treats agent workflows as state machines with cycles. By mid-2025, LangGraph emerged as the dominant choice for teams needing controllable, debuggable agent loops. Microsoft's AutoGen found traction in enterprise environments, particularly for multi-agent collaboration patterns. Crew AI carved out a niche for role-based agent teams. Llama Index pivoted from pure RAG toward agentic workflows. But in production surveys, notably Langfuss's and BrainTrust's ecosystem reports from early 2025, LangGraph appeared in roughly twice as many production deployments as its nearest competitor. The reason is unglamorous. It makes agent state explicit, inspectable, and replayable. The model router layer barely existed in public discourse 12 months ago. Now it's arguably the most consequential architectural decision in production agentic systems. OpenRouter and Light LLM emerged as the de facto abstraction layers, letting teams swap between OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, and OpenWeight models with a single API surface. But sophisticated teams went further. Martian, Portkey, and Not Diamond built intelligent routing, sending simple tasks to cheaper, faster models, and complex reasoning to frontier models.
According to Portkey's published benchmarks from March 2025, intelligent routing reduced inference costs by 40 to 60% in multi-step agent pipelines while maintaining quality thresholds. The insight: no single model is best at everything. The agent stack needed a traffic controller. Memory remains the most contested and least solved layer. The 2024 consensus, just use a vector database, proved insufficient. Production agents need at least 3 memory tiers: working memory for the current task context, episodic memory for retrieving past interactions, and structured long-term memory for facts, preferences, and learned procedures. Mem0 gained significant traction in early 2025 as a managed memory layer specifically designed for agents, reportedly reaching over 20,000 developers by Q1. Zep positioned itself similarly, but many production teams still cobble together Redis for working memory, Postgres with pgvector for episodic retrieval, and a graph database like Neo4j for structured knowledge. The integration tax is enormous. No single tool has definitively won this layer. Perhaps the starkest contrast between the 2024 hype cycle and 2025 production reality is evaluation. A year ago, most agent builders tested by vibes, running a few examples and eyeballing the output. That approach is now widely understood as negligent. BrainTrust and Langfuse emerged as the leading eval and observability platforms for LLM applications, with Arise Phoenix strong in the observability-specific niche. Hamel Hussein, a widely respected ML engineer, wrote in his influential February 2025 essay that evals are all you need, arguing that systematic evaluation infrastructure matters more than framework choice. Production teams now run regression suites against agent behavior the way traditional software teams run unit tests. The teams that ship reliable agents are, almost without exception, the teams that invested in evals first. Beneath these layers sits a rapidly standardizing tool use infrastructure. Anthropic's Model Context Protocol, or MCP, released in late 2024, has become the closest thing to a universal standard for connecting agents to external tools and data sources. By April 2025, MCP integrations were available across all major model providers. Browser use tools like BrowserBase and Playwright-based frameworks handle web interaction. Code execution sandboxes from E2B and Modal let agents run generated code safely. Function calling, once unreliable, became robust enough by late 2024 that most production agents depend on it as their primary action mechanism. The plumbing is less exciting than the agents themselves. It is also more important. For all this consolidation, critical gaps remain. Reliability guarantees are still absent. No framework can promise an agent will complete a complex task correctly every time. Cost predictability is poor. Agentic loops can consume unpredictable token volumes.
Multi-agent coordination at scale remains largely experimental, despite promising research from both Microsoft and Google DeepMind. Long-horizon planning, agents that maintain coherent strategy across hundreds of steps, is unsolved, and security is an emerging concern. Prompt injection attacks against tool-using agents represent a threat surface that most teams are not adequately addressing, according to OWASP's updated LLM security guidelines published in January 2025. The Agentic AI stack of 2025 is not what anyone predicted 12 months ago. It is less magical and more engineered. LangGraph for orchestration, Light LLM or Portkey for model routing, Mem0 or custom-assembled memory tiers, BrainTrust or LangFuse for evals, MCP for tool integration. This stack was not chosen by marketing. It was chosen by attrition, by thousands of builders discovering what breaks at scale and what holds. The hype promised autonomous agents that would replace entire workflows. What production delivered is something more modest and more useful. Semi-autonomous systems that handle well-scoped tasks with human oversight. The infrastructure is real now. The revolution, as it turns out, is incremental.